Hello everyone and welcome once again to our shir in Dirshu Bahalacha. We are holding today on Reish Mem Zayin Amid Beis. We're holding in Siman Shin Pei and we are up to Sif Beis. So we had mentioned yesterday in Sif Aleph, the Mechaber said that when somebody is mevatel his rishus, again, what were we speaking about over here? We had over here a case where you had a chutzner that required an eruv chatzeros. So let's say you had a chutzner that had 20 units in it. 19 of them joined in eruv chatzeros. One of them neglected to join in the eruv. So the Mechaber told us that the eitzah is the one person who did not join in the eruv could be mevatel his rishus. He removes himself from his rishus, his ownership over his property. He separates himself from it, and he kind of gives over his rishus to the other people in the chutzner. So now, instead of him being a separate entity in the chutzner, who is going to aser on the other bnei chutzner, he has removed himself. He was misalik himself from the chutzner. Now the other 19 units, they have an eruv. They are the sole entity in the chutzner, and there's nobody else to aser the other 19 units on the chutzner. That's what the Mechaber had been speaking about in Sif Aleph. And one detail that the Mechaber said in Sif Aleph was that if the person who's mevatel his rishus is mevatel his rishus stam, he just says, I am being mevatel my rishus, but he doesn't say, what is he removing himself from? He's being mevatel his rishus from his bias, from his house. Is he being mevatel his rishus from the chutzner? So the Mechaber in Sif Aleph told us that if somebody is mevatel his rishus stam, that means that he's giving up his rishus over the chutzner, but he's not giving up his rishus over his house. That's what the Mechaber said. In bitel rishusay stam, if he just says I'm mevatel my rishus, what does that mean? Lo bitel el rishusay sheyesh lo b'chutzner. We assume that he's only being mesalik himself. He's only removing himself from the rishus that he has in the chutzner, but he's not being mesalik himself from the rishus that he has in his own house. And therefore, since that's the case, the Mechaber said what will happen is now the chutzner fully belongs to the other 19 units. The other 19 houses and the chutzner, that's all one rishus. But his own personal house, he wasn't mesalik himself from the rishus of his house. So his house is a separate entity. Therefore, the Mechaber said, what will the halacha be? The halacha will be that the other 19 units, they're allowed to be metaltal. They're allowed to take a keli sheshavas babayis from one of their 19 houses to the chutzner. And this person who was mevatel his rishus, he would also be allowed to take a keli sheshavas babayis from one of their 19 houses into the chutzner. However, his house is going to be usher. They're not, the other 19 units aren't allowed to take something out of his house and bring it into the chutzner, and even he himself, he's not allowed to take something from his house out into the chutzner, because his house is an independent entity. His house is not merged in the eruv. He doesn't aser on them because it's very nice that his house is a separate entity, but he has no rights in the chutzner. So he's not going to aser on them because the chutzner is one rishus together with all the other houses, and the chutzner is not serving his house. His house, he has no rishus in the chutzner. He gave up all of his rights in the chutzner. So yes, he has a house in the chutzner, but his house in the chutzner has no rights to the chutzner. So he doesn't aser on the other bnei chutzner. But his house itself, you can't take anything out. You can't be metaltal from his house to the chutzner because his house is a separate entity. That's the halacha that Mechaber told us in the middle of Sif Aleph. Now in Sif Beis, the Mechaber says as follows: In bitel lehem gam rishus beisai. If when the person was mevatel his rishus, he specified that he's not only being mevatel the rishus that he has in the chutzner, but he's being mevatel the rishus that he has in his house as well, then mutarin bein hu bein heim l'hoitze l'chutzner. If he was misalik himself from the rishus that he has in his house, if he was clearly mevatel the rishus over his house as well, then everybody is going to be mutter, both the other bnei chotzer and himself, they're going to be allowed to be metaltal from his house to the chotzer as well, because now his house has become merged with the Eruv. He clearly was mevatel rishus over his house as well. Bein mi beisei, bein mi batehem. Now tiltal is going to be mutter for everybody, both from the other 19 units to the chotzer and from the unit that belongs to the mevatel, also from his house to the chotzer. Says the Mishnah Berurah, a nice cut in Yud Beis. Bein who, bein the acherim, everybody's going to be mutter, to be metaltal, both from their own houses to the chotzer, as well as from the house of the mevatel to the chotzer. Says the Mishnah Berurah tells us a caveat over here. He tells us there's one catch. Hainu la'achar shehachziku anshe hachotzer es rishusai. The first thing that has to happen after the mevatel is mevatel his rishus, is that the other bnei hachotzer have to be machzik in the rishus. They have to, so to speak, take ownership of his rishus that he was mevatel. What does that mean? Sha'itziu mi batehem lahachotzer. What has to happen is the mevatel says, I am being mevatel my rishus to you. I'm giving away my rishus to you. And then the bnei hachotzer have to come and they have to take a keli from their house and bring it out to the chotzer. By so doing, they have, so to speak, taken ownership of the rishus that the mevatel was mevatel. Because before the other bnei hachotzer do that, im yoitzi mi beisai lechotzer, should the mevatel go ahead and take a keli out of his house and bring it into the chotzer, oz chayzer mi bituloi, we would see that as the mevatel reneging on his deal. In other words, if what happens is the mevatel gets up and the mevatel says, I am being mevatel my rishus, I'm giving away the rishus that I have in the chotzer, and then before the other bnei chotzer do something to take over that rishus, before they go ahead and they take a keli from their house to the chotzer, he would go ahead and he would take a lawn chair from his house and put it into the chotzer. Now, he's once again taking ownership. He's once again taking his rights in the chotzer. So we would see that as his backing out of his beetle. Once the other bnei chotzer take over the rishus, now it's too late. Now he can't back out. But before they go ahead and take ownership of his rishus, we would see his action as backing out of his beetle. Umemela oiser alehem, and now he would once again aser on the other bnei chotzer, v'hein olav, and they would aser on him. Kidel kabam b'simin shin pei aleph sef aleph, because now again he's going to be a separate entity. V'chein, and similarly, yizaher, the one who's being mevatel his rishus should take care. Shelo yachnas mechotzer lebeisai kaidem sheachnitzu heim meachotzer lebeisai. If he's giving away the rishus over his house, that's what we're talking about here in Seif Beis. In Seif Beis, the Mechaber is talking about a case where the mevatel was mevatel the rishus that he has in the chotzer, and he was also mevatel the rishus that he has over his house. So therefore, says the Chavetz Chaim, not only do we have to make sure that the other bnei chotzer take over the rishus that the mevatel had in the chotzer before he uses his rishus in the chotzer, before he goes ahead and takes it back, he also has to take care over the rishus that he has in his house. He has to be careful. He should not take something from the chotzer and bring it into his house, because again, if he does that, if he'll go take a lawn chair from the chotzer and bring it into his house before the other bnei chotzer take something from the chotzer and bring it into his house, then again it's like he's backing out of the deal and he's taking back the ownership of his house. And if he does that, it's backing out of his bittul. And then he'll aser on everybody and they'll aser on him. Kidul kamon mishin pei aleph. V'tam haheter, now the Chavetz Chaim just explains, if he gives up the rishus over his house, why is it now mutter for everybody else to be metaltal from his house to the chutzner and from the chutzner to his house. The Kevin Shabitel Gam Rishus Beisai, because once he goes ahead and he's mavatal not only the rishus that he has in the chutzner to the other bnei chutzner, but he's also mavatal the rishus that he has over his house to the other bnei chutzner. Nasa Oireach Gamor Etzlam. Now he completely becomes a guest of the other people in the chutzner. Now he's no longer considered a resident. He's no longer considered kavua in the chutzner, not in the chutzner and not at his house, because he was mavatal the rishus over the chutzner and over his house, and now he became a guest to the other bnei chutzner. Because he doesn't have any rishus at all in this chutzner that he wasn't mavatal, not the rishus over the chutzner and not the rishus over his house. So he's completely a guest in the chutzner, and as a guest in the chutzner, he doesn't aser on the other bnei chutzner, and the other bnei chutzner do not aser on him. Says the Mechaber weiter in Siv Gimel. Let's say this person is not eager to be mavatal his rishus. He doesn't want to just be masalik himself from his rights in the chutzner, from his rights over the house. So he doesn't want to just do a bittul. What he wants to do instead is he wants to rent out his rights. He wants to rent out his rishus in his house or his chutzner. In bita lahem, Siv Gimel. Im einay rights levata lahem rishusay. If he doesn't want to be mevatal, to just nullify the rishus that he has in the chutzner or over his house, ela lahaskirai. Rather, he wants to rent it to the other bnei chutzner. He tells the other bnei chutzner, all right, we have a problem over here. I neglected to join the Erev, so what I want to do now is, I want you to pay me your rent from me, my rishus in the chutzner, my rishus in my house, and now I'll be removed from the chutzner. You 19 will be the only ones in the chutzner, and now the fact that I didn't join in the Erev won't answer on you, but you got to pay me. Yesh Omrim, there are those that say, this is brought down from the Rush, there are those that say, Shemoyel Kemoy Bitul, that rental is just as effective as Bitul. V'yesh Omrim She'eno Moyel. However, there are others, the Rambam, the Mordechai, there are others that say that no, that schirus does not help. You can't rent out your rishus. You have to be mevatel your rishus. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut in Yud Gimel. She'eno Moyel, we have this opinion in the Rishonim, that rental does not work. You can't just rent away your rishus in the chutzner so that you shouldn't aser on the other bnei chutzner. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Svir lahu, these Rishonim hold, Deloi tiknu schirus ela ba'akum, that the concept of renting away the rishus that you have so that you shouldn't aser on the other bnei chutzner, that concept only works by a non-Jew. A non-Jew, if you have a non-Jew living in the chutzner, so we have said earlier that a non-Jew living in the chutzner is a problem the same way a Jew living in the chutzner is a problem. If we have a non-Jew living in the chutzner, somehow we have to be able to take away his rishus so that he doesn't aser on the other bnei chutzner. The way we do that is we're maskir rishus from him. We rent his rishus from him. But that only works according to these rishonim by a non-Jew, avaloi b'Yisrael, not by a Yid. V'ayin ba'achroinim, the Chavetz Chaim says, if you take a look in the achroinim, shechasru, that they dig, they work very hard, limtzai tam lozeh, to find a reason why this should be the case. Why would rental not work? If I have a rishus in my house, if I have a rishus in the chutzner, and I didn't join the Erev, and because of that I'm asering on you, if I could be mevatel my rishus, if I could just remove myself without any money, how come I can't rent out my rishus and remove myself that way? Why do these Rishonim hold that doesn't work? So the Chavetz Chaim tells us that the Achronim dig very hard to find a reason for this. If you look in the Dirshu, I think it's footnote number 10, he brings down various reasons. He brings down an interesting reason from the Levush, where the Levush says that it could be that once a person says, I don't want to give away my rishus, I have to get paid for it. You have to pay me. Now, so to speak, you see that he's not giving away his rishus ba'ayin yofeh. We have said earlier that hamavatal ba'ayin ra hu mavatal. We always have to be careful that when a person is giving away that rishus, if somehow he's being misalik himself from the rishus, we always have to know that it's done ba'ayin yofeh. We have to know that he really means it, He's serious about it. And we have to know that the resultant Erev is going to be, like we've said many times before, an Erev means a mix. It has to be Mu'uriv. And we've said earlier that it has to be Mu'uriv b'yafeh. It has to be with good feelings. Everybody has to feel good about this. It has to be done with Beratzain Atoiv. That everybody should be Mu'uriv. It should be b'shalom. It should be in a nice way. That's when we have an Erev. But if you see that somebody says, "Wah, I'm answering on you because I didn't give away my rishus, and now I didn't join the Erev. Now you want me to be mevatel my rishus? What? I should do it for nothing? No, you got to pay me." Once a guy says that he has to get paid, we're afraid that even if you pay him, he's not really doing it by Yafeh, he's not doing it b'ritzaynai atayv, and now the result at the Erev is not Mu'uriv. And if it's not Mu'uriv, we don't have an Erev. There are other reasons brought down that the Achrayim speak about as well. This is brought down from the Levush. Now the Mishnah Berurah continues in Ice Cut in Yud Gimel. Va'ayin ba'achrayim shechasru limtzay tam lozeh va'amagen avram mitzadei debechayel l'kulei alma yachal lahaskir d'lei gara mi bitul. The Magen Avram says that if you realized the problem that one person did not join in the Erev, if you realized this problem on Wednesday, and now instead of the fellow joining in the Erev, what he wants to do is he says, "Look, I'll rent out my rishus to you." During the week, it definitely works, d'lei gara mi bitul, because schirus ultimately is not any worse than bittul. If a person could be mevatel his rishus, why can't he get paid for his rishus? So then why can't we do it on Shabbos? So the Magen Avram says, Ela de b'Shabbos also liskar to have a kemekach umemkar. On Shabbos, the reason you can't do schirus is not because schirus doesn't work. It's because we have a technicality. The technicality is that mekach umemkar is also on Shabbos. On Shabbos, you're not allowed to do business deals. So to go do schirus on Shabbos, you realized on Shabbos that unit number 20 forgot to join in the Erev, and now you want to fix that problem by doing schirus, you can't do schirus on Shabbos. That's mekach umemkar. But you realize during the week, it's not a problem. Says the Mishnah Berurah, le'inyan halacha lamaisa, ha'eliyah rabba paisik te'ein schirus mayeles b'Yisrael klal. The Eliyah Rabba says that schirus does not work by a Yid. It only works by a non-Jew. However, other Achrayim he brings down over in the Sharit Zion, Shulchan Atzei Shitim, the Graz, the Pri Megadim. It seems to be that they hold that you could be makel like the Magen Avram, that b'chayil, that during the week schirus would work, but we don't do it on Shabbos. Zok the Mechaber weiter in Sif Daled. Now Sif Daled is a little bit complicated. It all works with the same concepts that we've seen until now. So the concept of bittul, what's the concept of bittul? The concept is we had 20 units, 19 joined in an Erev, one did not join in an Erev. He's mevatel his rishus to everybody else. He removes himself from the picture. Now the other 19 have an Erev. He's a non-entity. He's now a guest by everybody else. And now he doesn't answer on them. They don't answer on him. Says the Mechaber in Sif Daled. In B'nai HaChotzer she'ervu. Let's say the 19 units who joined in an Eruv Echatzeros, in B'nai HaChotzer she'ervu, mevatlim rishusam le'echad shaloi erav. Instead of the one unit that did not join in the Eruv Echatzeros, being mevatel his rishus to the other 19, instead, what we did was the 19 who joined in a Eruv Echatzeros, so they are now one entity. They joined in an Erev. They were mevatel their rishus to the one. So now the one guy who didn't join in the Erev swallows up everything. He's now the sole entity in the Chotzer because there's him, and he now owns the other 19 because the other 19 were mevatel rishus to him. What's the halacha in such a case? Says the Mechaber, in B'nai HaChotzer she'ervu mevatlim rishusam le'echad shalei erav. Let's say the 19 who joined in an Erev, they were mevatel their rishus to the one person who did not join the Erev. What's the halacha? Hu muter lahaitzi mi beisai lechotzer. The one who now swallowed up everything, he could go to any other of the 19 houses. he could take the lawn chair that was Shavas Babayis, he could take a keli that started out Shabbos in any one of those 19 units, and he could bring it out to the chutzner. Now, let's stop over there for a second. That's very easy to understand. He now owns all of those 19. The 19, he lives in all 19. They were mevatel their rishus to him. And the rishus of all 19 of those units and the chutzner are all a rishus achas. Those 19 houses and the chutzner were all merged into one rishus, because those 19 units made in Eruv Chatzeros, and they were mevatel rishus to him. So for him to be, for anybody to be mitzi something from one of those 19 houses to the chutzner is not a problem, right? Because why not? It's all one rishus. Who mutter lahaitzi mibeisa lechutzner? Oh, I'm sorry. What I just said is not right. I'm sorry. Back up. Who mutter lahaitzi mibeisai lechutzner? Cut. Let's go back. He is allowed to take something from his own house to the chutzner. Yeah, what I said was wrong. I have to be very careful about this. I don't want anybody to take a mistake from what I said over here. I said that you're allowed to be mitzi a keli sheshavas babayis from any of the 19 units to the chutzner. That is inaccurate. Let's take a look again what the Mechaber said. Hu mutter lahaisti mi beisoi lechutzner. He is allowed, the one person who swallowed up the other 19. The other 19 were all mevatel their rishus to him. He is now allowed to take a keli sheshavas babayis from his own house to the chutzner, because his house is his house. Everybody else was mevatel their rishus over the other 19 houses, and whatever rishus they have in the chutzner, they were mevatel it to him. So his house and the other 19 houses and the chutzner are all one rishus. So he wants to take a lawn chair, sheshavas, in his house and take it out to the chutzner. That's not a problem. V'loi mibatehem, but he is not allowed to take a lawn chair from one of their 19 houses out to the chutzner. Now you're wondering, why not? They were mevatel the rishus to him. But the answer is, they were not mevatel the rishus over their houses to him. They were only mevatel the rishus that they have in the chutzner to him. Remember what the Mechaber said in Seif Aleph. The Mechaber said in Seif Aleph that when somebody is mevatel his rishus min hastam, somebody just says, I am mevatel my rishus to you, he only means his rishus in the chutzner. He doesn't mean his rishus over his own house. So in essence, what happened over here is like this. The 19 units, they merged into an Eruv Chatzeros. Then they realized that unit number 20 didn't join. So now there isn't a valid Eruv, and nobody could be metaltal. So what they did to fix the problem was, the 19 got together, and they said, we are mevatel our rishus to you, Pliny Almaini, who lives in unit number 20. Now, since they did it min astam, they didn't say what rishus they are being mevatel. They didn't say that they're being mevatel their rishus over their houses. So we assume that they all retained the rishus of their houses, and they were only mevatel the rishus that they had in the chutzner to unit number 20. So now, unit number 20, his house, and the chutzner is all one rishus, because they were all mevatel their rishus in the chutzner to unit number 20. So the owner of unit number 20, he could take a lawn chair from his house, a lawn chair that was Shavas Babayis, and he could bring it into the chutzner, because why not? His house and the chutzner are all one rishus, but he cannot take a lawn chair from their houses and take it into the chutzner, because that's a separate rishus. That belongs to each one of the other 19. So that he cannot do. Let's just read it inside again, from the beginning of Sif Dalet. In Bnei HaChatzer she'ervu mevatlim rishusam le'echad shaloi erev, if units 1 through 19, if they, all the Bnei HaChatzer who joined in an erev, were mevatel their rishus to unit number 20 that did not join in the erev, so now who mutter lahaitzi mi beisai lechutzner? He is allowed to take something out of his own house to the chutzner, because his house and the chutzner are all one rishus. V'loimi batehem. However, he is not allowed to take something out of one of their houses to the chutzner, because they retained their rights over their houses. So their houses and their chutzner are not one rishus. But remember, their houses do not aser on the chutzner, because the chutzner does not serve their houses anymore. They have no rights over the chutzner. Their houses are separate from the chutzner. So even though they each retained their rights over their houses, it doesn't aser the chutzner, because those houses have no rights to the chutzner. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ice Cotton Yud Daled, Hu mutter, the one that they were mavatal the rishus to, he is allowed to take anything out from his house to the chutzner, the kevan shebitul loy rishusam, because since the other 19 were mavatal their rishus in the chutzner to him, nasa chatzeram ubeisai rishus echas. Their chutzner and his house are now one rishus, because they gave up their rights in the chutzner to him. That was Yud Daled, and now he's cut Tezvav, V'loimi batehem. However, he is not allowed to take a keli from any one of their houses to the chutzner. Says the Mishnah Berurah, why? The mistama, because min astam, keshebitlu loy rishusan, when the other 19 were mavatal their rishus to him, to Mr. Unit number 20, loy bitlu ela chatzeron levad. They were only mavatal their rights over the chutzner. They were not mavatal their rights in their houses. So that's the halacha so far. So far what we know is, the unit number 20, he is allowed to take anything out from any of the other units in the chutzner to the chutzner, from his house to the chutzner, but not from their houses to the chutzner. Now says the Ramah, in the parentheses over here, Im loy shed bitlu beferish gam rishus beisam. However, the Beis Yosef says, if the other 19, when they were mavatal their rishus, they specified that not only are they mavatal their rishus that they have in the chutzner, but they're also mavatal the rishus that they have in their houses, then Mr. Unit number 20 will be allowed to take things out of their houses to the chutzner as well, because they were mavatal their rishus in their houses to him. So now their houses and their chutzner and his house are all one rishus. So now the guy who got everything, Mr. Unit number 20, who swallowed up everything, all the other 19 were mavatal rishus to him, now he could take things from his house or from their houses to the chutzner, because now everything is one rishus. So now, before we go weiter, I just want to be very clear over here what the Mechaber said so far. The case over here is, we have 20 units in the chutzner. 19 of them joined in Eruv Chatzeres. One of them neglected to join in the Eruv. He brings down the whole Eruv, because now you have two entities in the chutzner. You have the 19 who joined in the Eruv Chatzeres, and you have the one who lives in unit number 20 who did not. So you don't have a valid Eruv. Nobody could be metaltal from the houses to the chutzner, from the chutzner to the houses. What's the Eitzah? So one Eitzah is, that's what the Mechaber is talking about here in Sif Daled, is that the other 19 who joined together in an Eruv, they could be mevatel their rishus to the one. Said the Mechaber, if they do it min hastam, if they just say we're mevatel our rishus to you, Mr. Unit number 20, but they do not specify that they're giving up the rishus that they have in their houses, so then the halacha is that the one person, Mr. Unit number 20, who the other 19 were mevatel rishus to him, he is allowed to take something from his house to the chutzner, or from the chutzner to his house. Why? Because he owns his house, and he owns the whole chutzner, because they were mevatel their rishus in the chutzner to him. But he is not allowed to take something from one of their houses to the chutzner, because they didn't give him their houses. They retained their ownership over their houses. So their houses are a separate entity. Said the parentheses, we said over here from the Beis Yosef, but if they specified that not only are they mevatel their rishus in the chutzner, they're also mevatel their rishus in their houses, then he, the Mr. Unit number 20, then he could be mitzi from any of the houses to the chutzner, from the chutzner to any of the houses. Now so far we have not discussed what's the halacha of the other 19. What are they allowed to do, and what are they not allowed to do? So far, we only spoke about the one who got everything. We didn't speak about the other 19. So now, says the Mechaber, by me it's in the middle of the bottom line of the Mechaber, it's right after the words in the parentheses, Veheim, as far as the other 19 residents of the Chatzar, Veheim asurim af mibayis lechatzar. They are not allowed to be mitzi. Not only are they not allowed to be mitzi from their own houses to the chutzner, right? Because that certainly they can't do. Because their own houses, if they did not specify that they mevatel their rishus in their houses, so their houses are separate from the chutzner. So certainly they're not allowed to be mitzi from their houses to the chutzner, or from the chutzner to their houses, because their houses are totally independent from the chutzner. That would be going from one rishus to another rishus. You can't do that without a deruva chatzeres. Not only are they not allowed to do that, they are also not allowed to take something from his house, from Mr. Unit number 20, from his house to the chutzner, or from the chutzner to his house, even though his house and the chutzner are certainly one rishus. They gave away their rights in the chutzner to Mr. Unit number 20. So Mr. Unit number 20 owns his unit, and he also has all the rights over the chutzner. But the other 19 residents are not allowed to be mitzi anything from his house to the chutzner, or from the chutzner to his house. And we'll have to see why not. But let's continue the Mechaber first. V'lo yamrinon sheyiyu ka'orchim. Because we do not say that the other 19 units, the other 19 residents of the chutzner are somehow orchim, are somehow guests of this one Mr. Unit number 20. She'ein rabim nasim orchim eitzel yachid. Because a rabim, the 19 units, cannot become a guest by the one unit Mr. number 20. That's the words of the Mechaber. Now let's see it in the Mishnah Berurah. Let's see how the Mishnah Berurah fleshes this out. So again, before we dive into the Mishnah Berurah, a nice cut in Tezayin, let's remember what we're talking about over here. What we're saying is, the other 19 were Mavatal Rishus to the Mr. Unit number 20. And we're talking about now a case where they did not specify that they were Mavatal the Rishus over their houses. So min astam, they were only Mavatal the Rishus that they have over the Chatzar. And what the Mechaber says is, the halacha is, the guy who lives in 20, he's allowed to take things from his house to the chutzner, from the chutzner to his house, because it's one rishus. But the other 19, they're not allowed to be metaltal, not from their houses to the chutzner, or from the chutzner to their houses, because that's clearly separate rishuyos, but also not from Mr. Unit number 20's house to the chutzner, or from the chutzner to Mr. Unit number 20's house. Why? Because the 19 cannot become a guest by the one. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut in Tezayin. Af mibayis, kein tzarich leimar. What it really should say over here is that the other 19 are not allowed to be metaltal from the house of the one, from the house of Mr. Unit number 20, from his house to the chutzner. Or ritzaynei leimar. And what the Mechaber means to say over here is, says the Mishnah Berurah, loy mibaya, not only base some that from their own houses, from the 19 houses, shaloi bitlu, where they were not mevatel their rishus over the 19 houses to Mr. Unit number 20. Loi mi baya de base some shaloi bitlu asurim lohaitzi lachatzer. Not only are they not allowed to be mitzi from their own houses over which they were not mevatel their rishus to Mr. Unit number 20, lachatzer. They're not allowed to be metaltal from their houses to the chatzar, shehu rishus acheres, because the chatzar is an independent rishus from their houses. So that's certainly they're not allowed to do. But not only are they not allowed to do that, ela afilu mi beisoy shalzeh, even from Mr. Unit number 20's house, shebitlu loy, where they were mevatel their rishus in the chatzar to his house, shehu rishus achasim achatzar, so his house, Unit number 20, together with the chatzar, l'chayri is all one rishus, because the other 19 were mevatel their rishus in the chatzar to Unit number 20. Gam kein aser. It's still aser for the other 19 to be mitzi from his house to the chatzar, or from the chatzar to his house. Uchid the Messiah. And the reason for this is, like the Mechaber finishes off, the loy chashivi ka'archim ba'alma kisheim rabim, because since they're a rabim, they're a tzibur, they're 19 people, we do not say that by virtue of the fact of the 19 being mevatel their rishus to the one, they become guests by the one. And now it's as if they don't exist. V'im kain, and since they are not guests, kishechayzrin umaytzian l'saycha, so they're not guests. So now, if we're going to say that they're allowed to go into Mr. Unit number 20's house and take chairs out from unit number 20 and bring it onto the lawn on Shabbos afternoon for the Pirkei Avos, by virtue of what do they have the right to do that? You're telling me that they have the right to do that because they're guests? Says the Mechaber, no. We don't look at the other 19 people who live over here in the Chutzner, that suddenly they're guests in unit number 20, and the reason they're all going into unit number 20 and taking out lawn chairs is because they're guests. It's not because they're guests. So then what is it? When we see those 19 people going into unit number 20 and taking chairs out onto the lawn, what we say is they are acting as owners. And what they're doing is they're taking back the rishus in the chutzner that they were mevatel to Mr. Unit number 20. And once they do that, they bring down the Erev, because now the chutzner is multiple rishuyas again. The Kosev of Magen Avram, we only have this problem when what they do is they take lawn chairs out of the house to the chutzner. But if we see them take chairs from the chutzner into the house, we don't say that means that they're using the chutzner and they're taking rishus that they gave away in the chutzner back. So we only have this problem when we see units 1 through 19 going into the chutzner, going into the house, taking chairs from unit 20 from the house and bringing it to the chutzner. Then we say that they're taking their rishus in the chutzner back. But if what we see them do is take chairs from the chutzner and put it into the bayis, that's called using the bayis. That's not called using the chutzner, and we don't see them as taking their rishus back. The Kosev of Magen Avram Lo Yamdinu Zal Kishem Moitzi B'Bayis L'Chotzer Al V'Gishem Achdisa B'Chotzer L'Bayis Ein Zikr Nikra Yishtamshis B'Chotzer V'Lei Hevik Haroitzim L'Zakis B'Chotzer. We don't see that as reneging on the deal. Alvo Be'eli Rabbi Kosev B'Shem Harbi Paiskim Shagam L'Hachdis B'Chotzer L'Bayis Also V'Chei Kosev B'Evan Ezer. The many Paiskim say that no, it's a problem in that direction as well. Ois Katan Yud Zayin. So the reason this is a problem is because v'loyam rinan. We don't say that the 19 become guests by the one. Va'afilu bitlu loy rishus beisam. And even in a case where the 19 specified that they're also giving up the rishus that they have in their houses to the one, va'afilu bitlu loy rishus beisam gam ken asurim lohaitzi bein mi beisam ubein mi beisa lachatzer. Even in that case, it would be also for them to be mitzi from their houses. From their houses or from the house of the guy of unit number 20 to the chutzner, because they cannot be guests. And once we see the 19 using the chutzner, it means that they're taking back the chutzner. She'ein rabim nasim orchim oisir ches ritzayner loymar. What the mechaber means is bekigoin zeh, in cases like this, where we have 19 people who own the houses in the chutzner and they have rights in the chutzner. In cases like this, where the 19 really own the houses and they really have rights in the chutzner, and just they were mevatel their rishus as a technicality to solve the problem of a ruvei chatzeros, in such a case, we can't stretch the heter so far as to say that they become guests by the one and they should be allowed to be betaltel. The Kosev of Magen Avram, that this is true even when the one made sure to go ahead and take over the rishus in the chutzner before them. Nami loy mahani linyan rabim shelo yuchlu lachsav eliskais v'asur b'chal gavdi v'ayin bir halacha. We're going to stop over here, but before we do, I just want to recap over here, just so that we're clear what the Mechaber said until this point. Until this point, well, the Mechaber said like this. The case is, we had 20 units in the chutzner. 19 joined in an Erev, 1 neglected to join. the 19 got together in the Eruv Chatzeros, and now they will mevatel their rishus to the one who did not join the Eruv. So what we said is, the Mechaber said, what this is going to help is the one person, Mr. Unit number 20, who swallowed everything, he'll be allowed to be metaltal from his house to the chutzner, from the chutzner to his house. He will not be allowed to be metaltal from their houses to the chutzner, or from the chutzner to their houses, unless they specify that they're mevatel rishus over their houses as well. Then he, Mr. Unit number 20, will be allowed to be metaltal from the chutzner to his house and to their houses, or from his house and their houses to the chutzner as well. That's the halacha of Mr. Unit number 20. However, the other 19 people, says the Mechaber, they, even after them mevatel their rishus to Mr. Unit number 20, they will not be allowed to be metaltal, not from their houses to the chutzner. Certainly, if they weren't mevatel rishus over their houses, they can't do that, because their house is a separate entity. But even if they were mevatel rishus over their houses, they still will not be allowed to be mevatel rishus, even from their houses or from his house. Even though his house is certainly one rishus with the chutzner, because he owns his house and he owns the chutzner because they were mevatel rishus to him, still the other 19 are not allowed to be metaltal from the houses to the chutzner or from the chutzner to the houses. Why? Because the 19 other residents of the chutzner cannot become guests by the other one resident in the chutzner, and therefore, if they will go ahead and do something that shows that they're using the chutzner, that displays rights in the chutzner, so if they'll go ahead and be metaltal, a keli shashavas pabayas, from the house to the chutzner, they are exercising their rights in the chutzner. That means that they are taking their rights back. And once they take their rights back, they're going to bring down the Eruv. We should try to chazer this Iber, the part from the beginning of Sif Daled until here, because tomorrow we're going to build on this as we go further. Thank you. I'm sorry I missed last night. It was yesterday was a crazy day, but Baruch Hashem, we're back on track, and Mir Hashem, we'll go weiter tomorrow. Be well.